Grab a seat, sip some wisdom, and stay a while. This is the Prosperity Lounge, where growth gets personal. Step inside, we're breaking chains.
All right, good evening, everybody. Make sure I got the right mics on. Yep, we're good. All right, well, this is going to be an interesting episode tonight. I'm here with, let me pop him on camera real quick, and we're going to get started soon. Truth Between Lines, Brian Walker. Have a conversation about leadership. You may remember that I interviewed his daughter a while back, Adeline Walker. Find out what's up with her, what's been going on, and how did she learn about leadership from Brian? That's going to be the core.
You say daughter-in-law?
No, your daughter. How did she learn leadership from Brian? That's going to be the core conversation tonight. So sit back and relax. We're going to get ready to get started shortly here. We're at the top of the hour. So if you got questions for Brian or myself, put it in the chat. We'll get to it when we can get to it. Playing on 2 streams tonight, so we're going to see how this goes camera-wise. But, if you tired of watching me, vertically, watch me horizontally. Just watch me. Have some fun. All right. Get ready to get started shortly here. We're about a minute to go before showtime. You got your mics. I got this. I got that. Boom. All right. Here we go, guys. Here we go. You got about 5 minutes before I call you in on that. So. Before someone leads hundreds, before someone runs multiple businesses, before someone becomes president of a service organization, there's usually a table somewhere. Breakfast table, rotary table, a boardroom table, kitchen table. Leadership doesn't start with a title. It starts with proximity. Today inside the Prosperity Lounge, we're talking about business ownership, service mentorship, and why leadership always starts at home. So welcome to the Prosperity Lounge, where growth gets personal. I'm Joey Ruffalo, best-selling author, business growth strategist, and founder of the Prosperity Lounge, where we talk about business, leadership, money, mindset, and building lives on purpose. Before I get started, I want to talk about and say thank you to our show sponsors. If you're watching us on YouTube, please thank you. As always, go to the Prosperity Lounge YouTube channel at the Prosperity Lounge. You'll see some QR codes on the screen. Our first sponsor, of course, is our friends at Bello Business Solutions, bellobusinesssolutions.com. Use the code Make Business Make Sense for a free consultation. Everything business. I think they're doing tax stuff. They're doing business for me. Anything you want to do to start with a business, or if you have a business and you need it checked, go see Bello Business Solutions. And then, of course, our friends over at LaPera Insurance. LaPera Insurance, call 865-252-0480 or email Joe LaPera at JLAPERA@farmersagent.com and use the code JRRadio. The first 10 people to do that get a free gift card when you get a quote. So you're protecting yourself with Bello, and then you're going to protect your business. You're going to get your business stuff all set up, and then you're going to protect yourself with Joe. So perfect. Next, we got our friends over at Lagos. Lagos.com. Use the code on the screen. Get a 60-day free trial of the #1 Bible study software, tools, books, everything. It's great for this season of life that we're in right now. We're in the Lent season here, getting ready up close to Easter. So brush up on your skills, reading, learn some more. We're giving a 60-day trial to our listeners. Usually it's a 30-day trial. So take advantage of any of their packages for 60 days, especially their most expensive one. You get full access to their system. Take advantage of that today. Use the code on the screen for a 60-day trial. And lastly, Pure and Easy Tea. Pure and Easy Tea. Our buddies over there. Revitalize your body, refresh your mind, and nourishing wellness one steep at a time. Use the code on the screen to get a special offer and special rate on their products. And then lastly, if you want to support the stream, which I hope you guys do, you can go over and buy me a cup of coffee. As they say, coffee. That was my Northeast coming out at you. I apologize. Every once in a while it slips through, and maybe I'll try to do Southern next time. I'm not sure, guys. But buy me a coffee if you want. Help support the stream. And, if you have any businesses, if you're a business that wants to connect with me and wants to advertise on the show and be a part of the Prosperity Lounge, please feel free to send me an email at Joey, Joey, at theprosperitylounge.com. We always appreciate our sponsors for supporting conversations that strengthen families, businesses, and communities. All right, now on to today's guest. I know you guys have all been anxiously awaiting today's guest. All right. So, Brian Walker is an entrepreneur, incoming president of the Rotary Club of Farragut, and the father of one of the previous guests on our show, Adeline Walker. You might remember her from a few months ago. When Adeline joined us, she talked about the 4 pillars of leadership: pride, fortitude, transparency, and mentorship. Now, today I want to go a little deeper. First, I want to remember if Brian remembers everything she said, if he was watching his daughter on the show. But I want to learn about where those values come from. So, Brian, thanks for pulling up a chair, and welcome to the Prosperity Lounge.
Yeah, thank you. You're bringing up good memories about my daughter, and I'm like, oh yeah, do I remember? What do I remember? And the story is she doesn't want me to share with you either, so I'll tell you that right now. But yes, all good things overall. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Yes. When Adeline was here, she talked a lot about, like I said, pride and fortitude, transparency, mentorship. I want to start with pride because it wasn't arrogance that she talked about, but pride in representing something bigger than herself. She was the incoming regimental commander for Virginia Tech Corps Cadets. She did her term expired or was ending in December, so now she's serving in a different capacity up there. And but still, what stood out for me was just the word pride, right? That's the word that stood out. And obviously, like I said, not arrogance and things like that, and just where she was in her life. When you hear your daughter describe leadership using a word like pride, what goes through your mind?
Well, the first thing I want to mention too, I have a son as well. I have a firstborn son. So let's not leave him out because he's the same equation that now, obviously he's not the regimental commander of Virginia Tech, but the overall thing about it was, I think our thing, and we'll talk maybe a little bit later, but we always kept our kids involved in what we were doing. And just with community and everything else, we always wanted to give back. So we were always part of some service organization. We were always doing something, whether it was even just volunteering. We were the Lions Club at that time, and then it was Rotarians, just all the other chamber of commerce, just wherever we could do to help out. We always brought them to it. We always encouraged them to help. We always, it wasn't like, oh, we have to go do this thing without you. It was, hey, we're going to do this thing. And really, to be kind of not rude about it, but it was like, we didn't ask them like, hey, do you want to go, deliver packages or hand out soup at the kitchen or just, whatever we were doing. We were like, hey, we're doing this. Yeah. Well, I got this to do. No. We're doing this. This is more important than what you have to do. Let's go now. And I think that turned into them as an adult where they're like, oh yeah, okay. And like time management, we'll figure out a way to get it done and we'll still be able to do our things later on.
I think that's so true. I think service starting at home is paramount. I remember when I was a kid, different circumstances a little bit because my dad was visually impaired. He was blind when I was pretty much born. And by 3 years old, I was his guide child, as I say. He didn't have a guide dog. He had me. Yeah. And I would guide him everywhere. So I was kind of like learning how to serve people at a young age. But he was very big on serving others as well. And I remember going every year to this, I think it was an orphanage in one of the towns near us. And we used to sponsor a kid there and bring gifts every year and have lunch and hang out. And it wasn't weird for us to do that because it was just part of our normal holiday tradition and summer tradition to go around the birth, so because it was something we did all the time. Yeah. And I think it just made us who we are and then turn around and go, well, that was fun. want to serve others. Like, how do I continue serving others? And yeah, you did mention, you obviously, you do have a son as well.
Yes.
So I don't want to, like you said, leave him out of the conversation.
He wouldn't like that.
No. But initially, like when you're talking about in your home, describe to me what pride might look like, what excellence, what was character, and what was it, how you treated people, how you just carried yourself, and how you and your wife carried yourselves. Because there's a lot to the saying, more is caught than taught.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you right now, it's hard to talk about myself too, as well. Like I want to be.
I'm not going to do it either.
Yeah, I want to go in my little corner and be like, "What are you talking about? I never did that." Like, no, but yeah, and my wife too. My wife was a big, obviously, part of everybody, of our kids' lives, everybody's lives. And she volunteered in her own way, only not necessarily to be different from me, but basically to give a bigger reach of what we could do with the community too. It's what we wanted to have happen. So if I wasn't doing something, she was doing something. And I remember when my daughter was a little older, older, I say 10, 12, which, to me, she's still like under the age of 15, even though she's 21 now. They're involved with pageants. And the idea was, it wasn't necessarily the pageant per se. It was, how do you become a better person? What are you teaching these girls? How are you able to do that? And my wife and my daughter did that a lot, and they were in the pageants themselves and did the thing there. And so that was a good way to give back, because not only it helped them, but it was turn around and help the other person right behind you too. And we were very happy with that one. So it came down to character too, where everybody's watching you at all times. Whatever is going on, whatever's happening in your life, put a smile on and make sure it's done right. And remember, it's not about you. You're not the center of the world. Help somebody else before you worry about everything else.
They say that integrity is doing what's right when no one is watching.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was too. Yep.
So I want to get back into this teaching kids confidence without crossing into ego, especially in high achieving kids. Did you know along the way that both of your kids were high achieving?
Yeah, overall, and here's a good reason for that is I think that kids need to be kids, right? They need to have their time where they can play on the playground and just worry about being a kid and do all that stuff. But it's also the interaction with adults too. So we brought them around, and we never shied away from introducing them to people and saying hi and involving in the activities that we were doing. And at that time, I was really building my business and doing so. I was involved in other clubs, not necessarily service clubs, but different clubs. And we brought them to the things that were appropriate for the kids to go to. And we said, hey, this is so-and-so, this is so-and-so. Make sure you shake hands, make sure you look at them in the eyes, make sure you have a conversation with them. And so we didn't just put them behind us and go play on your Game Boy or your other computer or your laptop or your phone. Right. We didn't do that. We said front and center, and they're like, I want to go do this. I'm like, yes, cool, that's great. We're going to do that in an hour when we're done at this event, when we're done with that. And so they learned patience, they learned how to talk to adults, and they learned how to communicate in a way that helped them down the road. So service is great, but if you can't talk and communicate with others and you always shy away, that's a problem with kids and growing up. And I think we're seeing that a lot of it now. And we just didn't want that to happen to our kids.
I think that's very true and very important how you talk to kids, because there's, going back to one of our earlier episodes, our first episode, we had Gracie from Baked by Gracie. She's 15 years old, home baker. She's just going to be opening up her own brick and mortar in the next month at 15, 16 years old. Right. It's
awesome.
So it's about how you speak to kids. So you can talk to a kid and be like, I don't really want to imitate, it's not like a goo goo gaga kind of thing. Yeah, right.
We spoke to them as they needed to.
Them like a 10-year-old and go like, hey, buddy, really good job. Or you just speak to them like, hey, man, that's awesome. Great job. What are you doing? Talking. I lean back to a conversation I had with my niece. My niece she's 10 now. I actually have it recorded on my phone. It's funny. I think she was 7 at the time. So when she was actually 6 for her birthday, we took her to Target. And I said, get whatever you want at Target.
Oh, okay.
Up to a limit.
Okay. I was going to say, we're
$40 to spend.
Okay. All right.
You get as many things as you want.
Yeah.
So she walked around and she made these decisions about, do I want this? Do I want 4 of these? She ended up settling on a snow cone maker, which was like $35.
Okay.
The reason she settled on a snow cone maker was because she was going to make snow cones and sell them in her driveway to make more money so she can go back and buy more toys at Target. Because eventually she said she wanted to buy Target, meaning she wanted to own Target. Oh. That was her goal.
Oh, okay. That's a good target to have. All right.
So she was 6 at the time.
6.
So we decided that we were going to build a business plan.
Okay.
And I spoke to her about.
Yes.
I told her what a SWOT analysis was.
6 years old. Wow.
Yeah. She's like, what? And I said, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your opportunities?
Yeah.
And she asked some questions about what those meant. And I explained them to her, and she drew one up. And then we had a whole conversation about cost and how much things were going to cost and how much she was going to charge and what she was going to do this and who she was going to give discounts to and the sizing of things. I think she was doing. She was 7 at the time doing this stuff. But I didn't talk to her like, oh, that's a really great idea. Well, so when are we doing this? Like, I'm coming over tomorrow. We're going to set the stand up. What are we doing? Like, let's get going.
Yeah. When I had my office and that kind of things, I always had a lot of my motivational things up. I had my dream boards, which was a big part of it. And then I had like certain sayings and certain terms and whatever was going on at that time. And they were, they would hang out and wait for me to finish work, and they just stare at this stuff and look at it. And I think that was big because then my daughter started doing that, where she had pictures, and she would put pictures all over the wall of different things that she wanted to. So not necessarily a dream board per se, but it was like, hey, I want to be here. I want to visit here. Here's a picture of this. And it worked out well. And same with my son. I mean, he would write a couple of things on his desk, and they put it on the little front, and they would all just portray this stuff. And it's like, even if you're not looking specifically at that or reading that every single moment, it's still in the back of your head. Like, it's there and it's there. And so I think that helped a lot, because that's what I was doing. And I exposed them to that. And like, hey, look at this. This is what's making me successful. Do you want it? Yes or no? If you don't, great. If you do, maybe you do the same thing. And I left it up to them.
I like that. Did you ever intentionally talk to your kids about, this is kind of a weird question, but representing the family name, or was that's something more that was
no, I can't say I did. We never really got to that point, because honestly, I don't think it was about us really. Overall, it was more of just whatever we can do. I mean, if we got recognition for it, fantastic. I got plenty of trophies, I got plenty of awards and everything. I'm like, thank you so much. This is good. This is my next step.
Sometimes people are like, this is not how the Ruffaloes do it. This is not how the Walkers do it. The Walkers pride themselves, and you have to live up to this like invisible mantle that sometimes is so unattainable that it puts a lot of stress on the next generation to live up to something that may not be there. But sometimes you want to strive to get them to get there without the pressure of needing to land there. I think that's the big difference. Yeah,
and that's good, and that works for some people. Our family, I think ours was just, are you proud of that? Really? I mean, if you're going to do that, are you going to be proud at the end of the day? Yes or no? If you are, great, do it. If you're not going to be proud, then don't do it. And I think that was more the individual factor behind it, because they're your kids, they're your wife, your spouse, and it's like they're still a part of you no matter what. Yeah, they're going to represent you, but at the end of the day, they're on their own. So
now, when they were younger, did you ever come home and say, "Dad, can we meet Vin Diesel? Can we meet?" Brian Walker star Fast and Furious.
Yeah. I'm trying to think who they wanted to actually physically meet, other than like the Jonas Brothers or something. I'm trying to think what they were, but no, there's some of those stupid boy bands. But my daughter was, I'm going to embarrass the crap out of her. I'll tell you, I'm going to embarrass her a lot. But there were a lot of people that, no, I don't think there was any of that one pop star celebrity or even just person. I think it was a lot of trying to expose them to authors and writers and we look at film a little different too. We look at actually, how films actually are put together and the cinematography and stuff. I'm like, all right, you ready for this? How is this going to work? Of course, that's the way that I actually watch the cartoon shows and stuff, because for me to sit through a whole cartoon, and I'm like, I got to figure this out. Like, I'm going to figure out who the bad guy is in the beginning, the Scooby-Doo episode, and who's the actual one that's going to pull a mask off. I'm going to figure that out before anybody else. So that's how I got things through. And of course, I talked to them like, hey, did you notice that? And they'd be like, oh yeah, you're right, Dad. Okay, cool. Let's do it. So many memories coming back of stuff that we did.
Now, you talked a bit about when you're going into a room, when you're going into a Rotary meeting, you're going into a business room, your kids are there. Do you think about, was it top of mind thinking about the example you were setting for your children, or you just, this is how I've always carried myself, and again, they're just going to see what I'm doing and then kind of copy it, or were you more cognizant of how you were going into a room with them with you?
No, honestly, I think it's the second one. I always carry myself this way. It's me. That's it. And I think that actually helped with the kids too, because they'd see me in public and they notice, hey, I'm the same person in private. Like, that's it. That's a dad, again, back to the voice thing, sure. Like, I talk to an adult one way, I talk to my kids the same way, because I'm like, You're going to be at this point where you need to do that. So I did not do, the child babble or anything else. I spoke directly to them. And so no, that's it. That's what you get with me. If you know me personal afterwards, that's it. This is what you get. So they saw that.
You didn't start out in entrepreneurship. You had a criminal justice degree, you considered law enforcement, and then life pivoted for you. Walk us through the moment where you had that pivot point and what was going through your mind at that time?
Yeah. So I grew up in a small town in New Hampshire. And then when I graduated high school, this was like June of 96. In August 2nd, I decided, well, I didn't decide, but on August 2nd, I left New Hampshire and I went to Southern California. This is back in the days when like just TV was on there, Beverly Hills 90210 was the big show. And I said, I got to go to Southern California because that looks awesome. Palm trees and beaches and everything else. So I left my small town. And I said, I just need something different. I need that blank slate where I can say, hey, who am I going to be in the future? So I went to college and then I went to Cal State San Bernardino, got my criminal justice degree. And throughout the way, I became a big member of my fraternity. I was president my senior year, that kind of thing. And then the real world hit you. And I went out in the real world and it's like, here's my degree. Look at this. Here's my piece of paper. Hire me. So I tried out for the CHP, for two different sheriff counties. I think in the local police department as well. And without getting the whole story, just say I didn't make it, and a lot of it came down to the personal interviews, because nobody really taught me how to have an actual interview. So again, all the stuff we just talked about, my kids, we're going back. I didn't have that as that. So I didn't know how to really talk to them. So I'm sitting across from a lieutenant and somebody else, and they're grilling me about these questions. And I'm like, I don't understand your questions. Like, it's a basic question. I don't understand how to answer that. And so I think I failed out of a few of those, and it was just like, man, this is bad, And then I physical, all fine, no problem. I passed all those things, no problem. But I just wasn't getting hired because, I'm as fresh out of college. I'm 20, I think I was 22, and it's just like, they didn't hire me. So I'm looking around and going back to my fraternity, we were at a softball game and we're playing softball. And one of my older fraternity brothers, he's a couple years older than me. His name's Andy Chabot. I want to give him a shout out. And I'll probably shout out a few people throughout this. But it was one of those things where he says, you know what? I just got a job being an insurance. He was an insurance trainer, insurance agent's trainer. And he said, you'd be a good insurance agent. And I said, what's insurance? Like, what are you talking about? I don't even know what insurance does. Okay. He'd be like, no, I've known you. Because he knew me for at that point, probably 5 years. He goes, no, I think you got it. I think you can do it. Go talk to this guy. So I took his advice. I took Andy Chabot's advice. And I went down, I talked to the other guy. And the other guy said, yeah, we'll give you a job. You got a degree? Cool. Your management skills? Good. Okay, you can talk to people? Yeah, sure. Okay, fine. So I got a degree. I got a job as a insurance agent. And that's what kind of propelled me for the whole thing. I thought it was going to be a temporary thing. Like, I just thought I'll do that until I get a job as a police department. And then I got the rose-colored glasses and they said, man, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. So I started doing all the training. I started listening to the experts. I started listening to all the people that told me how to get successful. And it started clicking for me. And it just started working.
So when you sat down across the lieutenant and you asked him where John and Posh were, they looked at you kind of weird and were like, no, man, there's no TV cameras following you around. Right. Go sell some land somewhere else. Good to go. Okay.
Yep.
Been into insurance.
Yep.
You said something that was very interesting when we had our pre-call about listening to someone you trusted and then acting on that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you the direct question here. Was your growth talent or was it teachability?
Oh, teachability. I have no talent at all. I mean, trust me, I am not the smartest guy. If you're one of those things like you're the smartest guy in the room, you got to leave. Like, you're good in my room because it's fine, or I'm good in your room. But yeah, I'm not. And it was. I like the Forrest Gump sales strategy. When they told Forrest Gump, they're like, follow the ball, the ping pong ball, follow the ball, and that's it. That's what he did. And that was it. And you couldn't take his eye off the ball. Okay. That was me with sales. And I went for it and I said, fine, I'm doing it. And then I got a mentor named John Denver. Okay, not the singer, not the, no, but real name is John Denver. And I actually passed away last year, but he took me under his wing only because I asked. I pretty much begged him to it. Mm-hmm. And what it was is I was at that moment in my life, I was so grained into working in sales that I had all the spreadsheets, I had the dream boards, I had everything, I had graphs, and this was this. How long was my phone call with the client? How many sales did I make that day, that hour, that minute? How many phone calls did I make that day? All the way down to it. And I remember meeting him, it was probably our second meeting, and he goes, Brian, I don't I don't know how I can help you. Like, you're doing it right now. Like, you're doing it. I said, John, no, John, I need your help. I need your help. He's like, no, Brian, just do what you're doing. So basically that became a kind of a lunch and do a coffee, either coffee or lunch day for the next probably like 4 or 5 years. And it was, the biggest thing about being a mentor is he listened to me. And so as the mentee, I just poured it out. And that was like the first time someone actually did not say anything and just let me absolutely just lay out all of my plans and dreams and everything I had, putting all the numbers, and John just listened to me. And I think being a mentor as he did, that was probably the most important thing, because it helped me immensely. Did he help me like financially or, numbers wise? No, he didn't. But he just allowed me to tell him what was going on. And that made the most of me. That was huge. So if you ever get in that position, just listen to your mentee.
Absolutely. You said that it was someone, you just need someone to listen to hold yourself accountable.
Yes.
And I want to pivot back into something that Adeline had talked about, and it was one of the final pillars of leadership was mentorship, and that was the one that stood out.
Yep.
Mentorship, was that something that you intentionally prioritized for your children, or was that something that they maybe absorbed by proximity?
They always knew I was available to listen for that same aspect, because I turned it back on them. I was like, I understood what John did for me, so I tried to do it with them. Now, honestly, they didn't talk to me a whole lot just because I was dad. And they saw me as dad, even though all the other stuff, they still saw me as dad. So they couldn't really pour it. And I think both of them actually kind of wanted to secretly do better than me, and do a good job without my help, which is fine. That's fine. But that's what they wanted to do. And so that was really nice. And I believe that they did have a good conversation with a lot of people. They were heavily involved with sports, so they had the coaches that were very involved in their life. They also did extracurricular stuff too. We'll get to it, but we own some other companies that they had really good relations with the employees, and were able to talk to them as adults, not as a 12-year-old or 15-year-old or even an 18-year-old. They were able to have the conversations as adults all the way through.
Continue on the conversation of mentorship with exposure in rooms like Rotary, Chamber, Toastmasters, leadership circles. Touched on it a little bit at the beginning, but why is that so powerful for young people to have that exposure?
Well, especially in today's world, being the fact that you got a cell phone or laptop or tablet or whatever you got, you get so involved in your own little world, and all you stare at is the screen in front of you. And you lose that communication. I think that, when phone calls turned into text messages across the board, who calls each other anymore, right? You always text. So even that, if you spell a word wrong, it still corrects you. So you don't have to worry about it so much. You basically don't have to actually write down all of your feelings and adjectives and verbs and adverbs. So I think people lost the word to communicate. So the fact that if you get a mentor that you could actually, give a message to and say, hey, this is what I want to do. That's huge for young adults and for people growing up, because people don't have that. They don't have that skill anymore, unfortunately. And we're all the age of, before cell phones, and that we grew up before that, which I'm very glad for. And I feel bad about this next generation that won't not know what it means to have a cell phone.
Well, the thing is too, when you have conversations on the phone with people, you don't get into spelling mistakes.
Right.
A lot of times you see people in a text message or a comment on Facebook or even an email, they move past what the context of the email or the meaning of the email and focus on you said you're wrong. You are not your. If I say, hey, you come and, you're that, you don't know which one I'm using. You hear me and you hear everything else that's being said, but you're not focused on the mistake that's made, as opposed to I missed completely the whole gist of what the email was about.
Yeah. Because
I just focused on what was wrong with you. Right. So,
right.
Yeah. So I think getting away from like you said, getting away from those having more personal conversations in these interpersonal conversations where it's just through, I'm supposed to interpret what you mean by certain things.
You're right.
As
exactly.
opposed to just tell me what you mean.
Yep. I agree
with that.
Yeah.
So how does serving the community, we kind of talked about this a little bit, shape the way your children view leadership, but more importantly, how do you think others serve the community should
shape? I'm saying shape me.
We're in this generation where we're sort of this I talked about this on an episode I did last week about things I wish I knew when I was 22. And it was something about
Yeah, I
that
saw
came
that.
up where
Yeah.
I'm older, and if I'm not able to give back to somebody younger than me
Mhm.
in any way, shape, or form, I've failed.
Mhm.
And bringing these young people into these rooms, serving the community like we do, but also bringing up those that are behind us.
Mhm. Yeah, shooting the elevator back down after you get to the top.
Yes, riding the elevator up with them too, even sometimes. Right?
Right.
How does it shape the way children view leadership, do you think?
Shape leadership. Yeah. I think it exposes them to a lot more to understanding what's out there too. And that happened with me as well. Because I mean, if people get into a little bubble, they get their little group of friends, and that's as far as they go.
Yeah.
Like that's it. That's who they talk to. So they don't necessarily talk to someone else that's on a different spectrum or a different way that, uh, monetary level or whatever else you want to say. It just could be a completely different thing. So the fact that you're out there doing the service work, doing the referral work, talking to the Chamber of Commerce, is getting involved with people and age too, for that matter. You could be talking to an 80-year-old who has a whole history of wealth and of knowledge, and you're talking to a 14-year-old who doesn't know anything. So you got that where you just like, hey, this is what's available. And I always maybe I think about that now is I always wanted my kids to understand what they could do. And I didn't push them. I didn't say, hey, I just say, look, if you want to do this, great. If you don't, then fine. That's up to you. But at least you have the opportunity to do it. If you want to be the best at whatever you want to be the best at, then do it. Be the best. But if we're not going to put you in this bubble over here. And I think that really helped because again, adults talk to them as adults, and they were able to pick what road they wanted to go down in life.
Now you mentioned something about service.
Mhm.
Now you are the incoming president of the Rotary Club of Farragut.
Mhm.
Rotary's big motto is service above self.
Yep.
For you particularly, what does service above self look like? Not practically, I mean practically, but not philosophically, because you can just anybody can spew anything about what it means. What does it look like in action?
I think it just when you imagine that again, you're not the center of the world. Okay. Maybe I'm tired today. Maybe I just don't feel right. Maybe I'm sick. Maybe I'm busy. Maybe I'm going on some trip tomorrow. It's a matter of comes down to, what, this person's more important or this person's depending on me. I can't, let them down. I have to be there, and I got to be there on time. I got to be able to show up, do what I'm supposed to do, expectations met, and then be able to move on. And I think that a lot of people get in that thing where like, oh man, traffic could be really busy. Oh, it's raining outside. Oh, this is, geez, the dog just threw up. I got to stay home. And service by self is, what, screw it, I'm still going. I'm still going. They want me there. I have to be there. I signed up. I told them I would be there from this hour to this hour. You go and you just do it. And there's so much to be able to do with it. And again, we're talking about Rotary, but I mean, there's so many other service organizations that fit. You just got to fit your personality too, and you got to enjoy it. And I think that as long as you enjoy what you're doing, you never work a day in your life, that old saying.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it means. And two, I think you just put it into your actual day-to-day life where it's not something I just show up and I'm like, oh, today I'm going to do this. No, it's part of my like, okay, this is the day we're doing that. Here it is. This hour is this. And we just go and do it above me.
Yeah. There's I don't know if it's in the Bible or not. It's probably biblical in some sense. I've heard it used in that context of the open fist versus the closed fist.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a closed fist, you can hold on to everything, but nothing can get out, but also nothing can get back in.
Yeah.
If you open your hand, yes, things can get out, but everything can get back in. So when you talk about service above self, it's that open hand policy where you are reaching out and you are giving of yourself, but you're also going to receive back.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that is in just a good feeling or down the line, people are going to reach back out to you and help you in some way, shape, or form. But if you're closed off, you're closed fisted, you can hold on to all your stuff, but you're never gonna be able to grow.
Yeah, it's very true. I think so, and I hope so. I hope that I asked both my kids individually whether I had them with a closed fist or an open fist. We'll see what happens. What they say.
Be careful how you word that.
That's what I said it that
way. Yeah. So number 3, one of the things Alan talked about was fortitude. And we kind of talked a little bit about that with your career pivot. Fortitude being showing up when it's hard, standing firm when it's uncomfortable. For you, Where was your fortitude tested the most? Was that in early career pivots, business risk, leadership roles? Hasn't been tested yet.
I know. I like to think I'm pretty been tested, but I mean, geez, there was a time. Let's see, I must have been 6 or 7 years in the business, and this is kind of one of those things.
6, 7. Sorry.
Okay, sorry, maybe 7 or 8. Where I had rented my place, my office, and this is kind of the thing. I was renting an office for my insurance business, and the rent had gone up. My lease had come up or whatever. It was a kind of a weird thing. And the rent went up, and I said, "Gosh, this is terrible. I don't want to afford this. Like, there's no more benefits, but it's going up. Like, I'm doing good, but I don't want to add this thing." And so my buddy of mine, his name is Phil Percival, good friend of mine. We still talk all the time. We still go vacation all the time. He goes, "You know what? Why do you rent? Why don't you just buy?" I was like, "What do you mean buy? I can't buy." He's like, "No, no, no." He basically said, "I believe in you. You can buy something and do better than renting." And I was like, "You believe in me? Well, that's cool, Phil. Thanks." So, of course, he was a real estate agent. So I should throw that in there too as well. So he actually found me a building that, was a lot bigger than what I had. And it was one of those things where I was in a little office, whatever, 800 square feet, something like that. And then here's this building that I'm going to buy on a half acre, 4,000 square feet, just huge number of offices, kitchen, 2 bathrooms, and this whole thing. And I was like, I can't do that. Like, no way. But you know what? Phil and John were like, "Hey, you can do that. You can do that, sure." So the fortitude was like, I need to take that step where it's out of my comfort zone and move on to the next step, because not because that's what, wanted of me, but because that's going to better my outlook and what's going on. So I ended up buying this building. Wow. And it ended up turning one of the best things I ever had, because I was able to turn around and figure a way out that I could actually rent the other spaces that I wasn't using and actually make more money off the rents and all the other things that were going on than I was paying in rent. So I flipped the script on that one. And here's the fun thing about it is my kids were completely involved in this. And actually, because when we went in there, not only when we cleaned it, of course, because there's a lot of stuff, just business to business, you had to clean it, move things around. We made offices. We physically built offices, and there's actually time capsules in the walls for my kids, because they were actually doing the work there. Wow. Now they're in their mid, again, probably 14 to 11 years old or 12 years old, around that age. So, we weren't expecting them to hang the drywall or anything, but we were expecting them to help out and do stuff. So they saw it, and then they saw the vision. And then again, that was early on in the career. Later, 5, 6, 7 years down the road, they saw what actually happened when they were in their late teens, and they're like, "Oh, this is what Dad and I built. We did this together, and this is what's benefited our family so much. We were a part of it." And that's what I got into it. I could have hired a contractor to do it. I could have, I could have done it myself on my off hours, but no, I involved my family, for not only for cheap labor, but the fact that they were there to help out. They saw me working hard, sweat equity, and they realized, hey, geez, this is what our family benefits from. And we were able to do that. So that was the first building that I bought. And that was kind of cool to do that.
When you think of your children and you think about the lessons they're learning through this process,
yep.
Do you think that they're learning more from your wins, or maybe how you handle your setbacks?
I like to just say I never lost. But honestly, I mean, yeah, I think they were seeing, and here's the thing. It wasn't like I ever sat back and was like, okay, we're done. Like, that's it. We're good. We built it. It's there. We can look at it. We're done. Let's just step back. Mm-hmm. It was, all right, cool. It's done. What's the next thing? What's the next step? What can we do? How can we improve on what we had? Like, all right, we got this side of the building done. What benefit can we do? Oh, we can paint the bathroom. That'd be cool. I got great pictures of my son painting the entire bathroom, and he's got paint all over himself. He's wearing all these clothes, and I'm like, but he did it. Did he do a great job? Probably not. Did he do a decent, above average job? Yes, he did. He did an awesome job. And I'm very proud of him for that. And it's one of those things. But we were able to do that. So, again, you don't have to paint a bathroom, but the fact that he did it, and all of my clients and the people that visited the building loved it, it was a fantastic win for him. And that was good for that. But I've always involved them, though. So that was my first building I owned. Then I actually bought a few other ones too. And they were always involved. There's a lady named Lori Feldman, who I'm going to drop a name for. There was a company that there was a person that was retiring, and she owned a real estate company, a property management company in the building that they were in. Mm. And Lori came to me and said, "You know what? You'd be good at owning this business." And I thought, well, I do insurance. Like, that's what I sell insurance. Well, I don't know. I know a little bit about real estate. I barely know anything about property management. Oh, a building's cool too. So I actually ended up buying all three. I separated it basically three different businesses. Real estate, property management, and an actual the LLC for the building. And so again, I brought my kids up, and this was a different town about an hour and a half away. And I ended up bringing them into, and they helped with the remodels and the changing. They understand the books. They saw me working. They saw me working late because what would happen is I do the insurance business during the day, and while I was catching up, while I was learning, while I was fixing the books, and just I should say while I was cleaning up everything and understanding how the books worked, my kids were like, "Oh, Dad, you're working really hard. Can we go get you something to eat for dinner? Can we leave? Mom, Dad, and brother, sister, or mom and brother and sister would leave, go get me something to eat, come back, and they still see me working there late at night after dark, and be like, okay, hey, Dad, you've been working pretty hard. You want to take a break? I'd be like, all right, let's take a break. And then we go do something fun.
Yeah.
But they just saw me working that hard, and thankfully, with time management, I was still able to coach and do all the things for them and be at every single whatever they were doing, because I was just time management, and that was the hard thing.
Prioritizing.
It was. And then we did a bunch of flips too. We started buying with the real estate, insurance, property management. We actually started buying a bunch of homes, flipping them. We flipped a condo too, and the kids were all involved. And I got great video. Thank goodness for video and phones and everything, because we took pictures of them. But they'd be swinging hammer. I think she was probably 11 or something, maybe 12. She's swinging a hammer like the best of them. And I'm like, this is my little daughter, the one we were talking about right now that's going to Virginia Tech. I have her, completely covered with drywall dust, and she's ripping down a wall with a hammer. And I'm like, that's my little girl. That's it. Yep. Yeah. So we ended up doing a bunch of that stuff. And again, I always just involved them. I always brought them in.
Mm-hmm. You kind of mentioned it earlier, and I want to circle back to it. You talked about the property management and kind of feeling maybe a little overwhelmed with the prospect of getting into something different.
Right.
Was there ever a moment that you felt maybe underqualified for something, but just you acted anyway? Was it the property management business where you're just like, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm just going to do it anyway?
I mean, honestly, we're being honest. I'm underqualified for everything I do. I mean, I'm not saying that to be facetious. I mean, I've gotten my below water so many times, but I know that I can handle anything, and I've done that. I mean, it's when I had employees. I mean, at one time, I think I had like 12 total employees I was paying out. I mean, the kids and my wife knew that we were getting a paycheck or whatever. I'd hire somebody new and be like, I don't know how I'm going to pay you, but I have to have you working for me. I have to have you doing it. And they'd come on, and I'd be like, cool, here you go. And then of course the work comp check and then the payroll check would show up, and I'm like, oh, I don't know how this is going to happen. All right. Come on, my wife, Jennifer, I'm like, we got to tighten our belts a little bit. Yeah, kids, you're going to have to wait on that one thing, and but they understood what it meant. They really understood what it meant overall.
Was there ever a time that, and I hate that I keep hinting at trying to get into like, did you fail? When did you fail? How did you fail? Was there ever a time that you failed maybe publicly, and what did your kids learn from that? You had something pretty recent last couple of years.
You're totally bringing it. You're talking about the election.
Well, yeah, I mean, you put yourself out there. And, the situation comes up, and
Yeah. So, life changes as every book, and I've learned that as I get old. It's like things change. There's different chapters in life, and with them kind of being on their own, my son went to college. He went off to college because he went to a different state for college. My daughter went off, and it was time for me to just kind of get out of my shell and kind of just plant my flag and say, this is where I'm at. And so, I ran for office. Obviously didn't go the way I wanted it to, but at the same time, I think that along the way, I met a lot of good friends that I have that, of course, aren't paying attention right now, but a lot of good things going for it. And I made the best of it. And I think that it definitely kept me up at night. I'll tell you that right now. It kept me up, but it was good. It was good, and I wouldn't change a thing. And better things to come on that aspect of it. But if that's my worst failure in life, I'll take it.
You carry forward, and I think that's the important thing is kids see you fail at something, or not succeed at that moment. But it's just if you fail, it's different than not succeeding in that moment. That's
correct.
I'm trying to do it. No's are not no's, no's are not right nows.
Exactly. Yeah. And two, I mean, if you're going to get, one sale every 5 no's, well, that's just one more no on the way to the yes.
Exactly. So seeing that,
Mhm.
pushing through and having that
Mhm.
resilience and that fortitude to move through. Final thing she talked about was transparency and accountability, and talked about transparency and being honest as a leader.
Mm.
In business, transparency can be very risky or could feel risky.
Yeah.
How do you, as a business owner, or how did you, I mean, you're by yourself now, essentially, right? But when you had a team,
Mhm.
how did you balance honesty with authority?
Well, I'll tell you. Okay, that's interesting. That leads. Yeah. So one other company that I had, my wife and I was a hobby was martial arts.
Okay.
And we got into primarily Taekwondo, got us into it. Then we did jujitsu as well. 13, 14 years into doing that, my wife came to me and she said, "Hey, let's open a martial arts studio. That would be fun."
Okay.
So it was one of those, all right, well, okay, how do we do this? This is a completely different step of doing everything. Yeah.
Okay.
We're like, all right, so you want to talk about authority and the other words you used. It's like, whoa, okay. All right. So we ended up starting from scratch and we opened a martial arts studio. And man, we just got going and we got going. So now, here's me. All right. I'm not a big kid. I'm an only child. I have no brothers and sisters. So I don't have like the younger generation or whatever I'm looking at. I really don't have any cousins that are that age that I'm around. So I'm there and now they put me on the floor teaching 3 and 4-year-olds. Have you ever tried to gaggle around 7 or 8 3 and 4-year-olds and try and get them to pay attention to what's going on? You want to talk about transparency? And I mean, it was like in honesty, it was like, hey, Mr. Walker, are we going to do this? Yeah. Is it going to hurt? Yeah, it's probably going to hurt. Yeah. Oh, what do I have to run across the floor again? How many push-ups do I have to do? All right, I'll do it with you. Hold on a minute. And so we just started going the whole thing. But I mean, you're up there completely exposed. So, in our studio, our parents were off to the right and you were in front. And of course, you're looking at all the kids. You couldn't make a move, especially with today's world. It's like everything was the open hand movement. And it was like, go stand over here. And like, I don't want to stand over there. Like, yes, no, go stand over there. No, I don't want to stand over there. And they're like, stop looking at your mom or dad. Stop doing that. Look at me here. They go. And you had to make it fun for kids and you had to make it do it so they come back tomorrow. And that was a huge, huge difference of everything. Because here I am, the professional. Here I am, the speaker. I was doing all the MC work and everything else. I was giving speeches. And now I'm talking to a 5-year-old telling them to do push-ups because, they couldn't sit still for 20 seconds. And I'm like, this is beyond real right now. And it hit me really hard. But here's the thing about the leadership too with the kids. That's when our kids were in their middle teens. And I can remember Adeline and Riley, teaching their own class and doing their own thing. I'm talking curriculum, it was about a 50-minute class, doing everything front to back, running the entire thing. And I'm just sitting back going, that's my kid teaching other kids how to do stuff. And that was a big step for them, I think it was, because they were training, obviously, too. They're both black belts in their own right, second or third degrees. But they at that point, I was like, I'm so proud of these kids because they're able to take this on, and they loved it, and they enjoyed it. They had a good time. And I wouldn't even call it a failure when we had to close it, but because that was kind of if you want to move forward with it, it was I had my hips replaced in 2019. And God shies down on you because in February of 2019, I had my left hip done, and I came back and I was on I basically did the desk work, and I hated the desk work. Greeting people as they come in, checking everybody in, and I couldn't walk because I couldn't do anything, and no way could I like try and kick. So a couple months went by, and I got healed, and I got better, and I was able to get back on the floor, and then all of a sudden my right hip started going, and it was like, here we go again. And then it came down to our lease was coming up. So we did that for 5 years because we had a 5-year lease. So our lease was coming up at the end of the year. And I get my right hip replaced in November of 2019. Well, if you're following this, 2019, right? We closed down at the end of 2019. And then of course, COVID hit us in 2020. So if we would have held on to that martial arts studio, signed another 5-year lease or whatever, and continued with that studio, I mean, we were friends with people across the country that was their lifeblood. That was their thing. Thankfully, we had my insurance business and the other business we had. So it wasn't like a financial burden as much as it was. But if we would have kept it past 2020, who knows? We would have lost it just because. So that was one of those little skirted the failure on that one where it was great. But it was a great experience. Our kids got so much out of it. My wife and I, brought us together because we were together all the time. We had a purpose. We taught kids that, still reach out to us every now and then on social media and are like, hey, I just did this. I just graduated from college. Hey, I joined the whatever military. I did this. And so it's amazing that I'm just grateful that I was able to and be the position that I could have gave back to those kids and see them as, as young adults now, like my kids. And it's fun.
I can picture you on the mat with the kids, and it's just a humbling experience at that point.
It was so humbling.
We've all had those in our lives.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it was so humbling.
My wife and I, we went skiing for the first time a long time ago. We're talking 20 years ago at this point. I always wanted to go skiing. So we lived in California at the time. So we went to Reno to go skiing.
Sure.
And we're up in the mountain. And so we get there and we missed the early time to get the lessons. So we're just kind of sitting around for hours. And it's an unseasonably warm February day, but we're dressed like it's below zero. So we're just like taking layers off, just hanging out, getting tired. And then it comes time to our lesson. We do our lesson. And the instructor looks at myself and my wife and he says, hey guys, everybody else, go on the lift. You guys hang back a little bit. You get a couple more lessons from me. Okay, no problem. I said, oh, cool. We're getting private lessons.
Yeah, sure. Great.
And literally it's the part where you just kind of go down this little bunny hill right on the skis.
Right.
Pizza,
snowplow.
And stuff. And he goes, come join the next group. It's okay, fine. We think it's the next group. The next group comes in, Brian, and it's 5-year-olds all holding a rope together.
Right, I've seen that.
And it's 5-year-olds that come up to like my kneecap and me in a beginner's class.
Yep.
And literally he's having us go walk up this little hill, go down this slope. We looked at each other and we're like, all right, we skied.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, my sister-in-law and her husband, they go down the thing once. And did you guys have fun? Yeah, we were with the 5-year-olds over here. That's how humbling it was.
Yes. Yep.
It
really is
failing at something or not succeeding at something, and then really being humbled by the experience of.
Yeah. Well, it's funny when they beat you too. Like we were playing Duck, Duck, Goose, and they literally can catch you from behind. It's like, wait, how are you that quick? Or they actually outrun you or move around faster than you or kick faster, and you're like, wait, you're 5. Stop it.
But I think in that moment, we kind of looked at it, and I think as a leader, you kind of look back at moments like that, and you can either be very angry about the fact that you weren't successful at something, angry about the fact that maybe somebody put you in a box that you didn't think you were in, or you can be humble and about it and move on and go, well, I'm not where I think I need to be. How do I get better at this so that I don't have to be in this situation again? Somebody is telling me I'm not ready for something, but they're not shutting the door on me. They're giving me more opportunities to improve.
Yep.
I think as a leader, regardless of how I look back at the guy, and he was just like, one of those cool ski guys, man. Right. I still remember his name. His name was Katz. Katz.
Of course it was.
And he looked like just one of those 1980s rom-com ski instructor guys, right? Hey, dude, man, you guys just gonna go over there and hang out with the next class and all. And I'm looking at this guy like, what are you talking about? I know how to ski. You just taught me. And it's really a humbling experience when somebody tells you you're not ready for it yet, but we're going to get you there. And I think how you receive that information really determines how good of a leader you can be, and then how you can really lead others as well. And
failure or success, I look at it as just close the chapter. Yeah. That was it. We did 5 years of it. Cool. We're done. Move on. What's the next thing? That was it.
So we are getting pretty close to the end of our hour together. Really appreciate you being here. We covered all the 4 pillars that Adam talked about. They really wanted to get into that, which was pretty cool. I did have some audience Q&A questions for you. When I said, Brian's coming on the show, I had people email me a couple questions. Yeah. A lot of people email me why.
Why have me on? I asked myself the same thing.
This one here was from Alex and Farragut. Why Brian? I'm not sure what that one was about, but we'll skip that one for a minute.
Yes. Okay. I don't know that guy.
Yeah. Tom from Knoxville. How do you expose your kids to leadership without putting pressure on them?
Yeah. I think we talked about in the beginning of this hour, it's you just do it. You just bring them. That's it.
Mhm.
I mean, at first they're going to be in the back. They're going to hide behind you. They're going to, hold on to your leg, hide behind your coattails. But the more you expose them to stuff, the more they get comfortable at it. And they're like, okay, it's not that scary.
Right.
I can talk to an adult. So you just continue doing it. And again, you make it a part of it. We're doing this. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you, we're doing this. This is what we're doing. Good. Move on. Yeah.
Melissa wants to know, what's the biggest mistake parents make when raising high achieving kids?
Oh, wow. Yeah, high achieving. Well, high achieving is depending on how you look at it. But yeah, the biggest mistake, again, I think allowing them, it's going to be, I'll give you two answers. We're not allowing them to be kids and then making them be kids. So what it is, it's kind of like you hold them back and, you don't let them play in the playground. You don't let them act up. Like, there's some points when you go to a restaurant or you go to a social event and they just start going, running around, they're yelling and everything else. But you know what? Take them outside, give them 5-10 minutes, have them do all of that. And you tell them, all right, good. Now you got that out of your system. We're going back in and now you're going to act this way. We're in this environment. This is where we're at now. This is how we're going to act. And then, but you let them be kids and do the thing. And then you bring them back in, you tell them this is where we're at and you do the thing.
Karen from Maryville wants to know, how do you know when it's time to step into leadership, even if you don't feel ready?
Oh, geez. Yeah. You just do it. Oh, honestly, when you put yourself out there and when you join clubs and you do things for the right reasons, because you want to do things, you want to be involved, people ask and they see you and they, hey, you know what? You'd be good at this. I think that's what I kind of said earlier is all my friends, which all these people, whether they're friends or just business associates, they're like, you'd be good at this. You should take over. You should be in charge of this thing. Just don't tell them no. Just say, yeah, I'll think about it or yeah, I'll do it.
That's important. And I think if you're going to put yourself in a situation where you're going to do it, leaning back on those people who put you in that situation for help and advice and accountability and mentorship as well. Because if they're seeing something in you that you're not seeing in yourself, you might have to ask them a few times, why?
Yeah, right.
What are you seeing in me?
Mm-hmm.
And how can I bring that out in myself more? Because the worst thing you want to do, Brian, is somebody tell you like, hey, Brian, you should go buy that building. And you buy that building and then you call them up and be like, hey, and you never hear from that person again. They block your number and you're like, did they just dupe me?
100%. Yep.
So if you got those people around you, it's building that accountability circle. It's building those 10 people around you that you want to be around, that you're we say you want to be the dumbest guy in that circle.
Yes. Yep. 100%.
All the time. As soon as you become the smartest guy in the circle, you got to find a new circle.
Mm-hmm. All the time. Agreed.
Awesome. Well, we got our 10-question rapid fire round for you.
And you would not give this to me earlier. So.
No. Every guest gets 10 questions. Friday night's questions are specific to you. Mondays and Wednesdays on the show, everybody gets the same 10, but Friday nights is a little different.
Okay.
You ready?
No.
Okay.
All right.
First thing that comes to your mind. One word that defines leadership.
Coachability.
One trait every business owner must develop.
Wow. Coachability. No. Flexibility. I would say flexibility.
Okay. One leadership habit that compounds over time.
Time management.
What builds trust fastest?
Showing up on time.
What destroys trust fastest?
Other than that, showing up on time. Just not being true to your word.
Okay. One value you intentionally modeled at home.
Well, I'm sorry. One model
One model you intentionally modeled. One value you intentionally modeled at home.
Show up. I mean, just be there. Be there when you're needed.
The most important lesson mentorship taught you.
Listening. Big time listening.
Okay. One leadership weakness you had to overcome.
I can't say no. That's a hard one to overcome. It really is, if you really think about it.
Yeah. Okay. One thing communities need more of right now.
Ways to communicate.
And before I get to my last question, I do have couple other ones I'll throw you. I'll give you bonus points.
Sorry, I thought I passed.
Oh, you did fine.
Okay, good. Good to know.
This is kind of some silly ones, just to kind of make you feel a bit better.
Oh, okay.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Book that shaped you the most?
Oh, The Automatic Millionaire.
One word that defines fatherhood?
Love.
Biggest lesson business taught you?
Be humble.
Something your mentor, John Denver, taught you?
Man, he was so good. Oh, man. I miss him. I'll tell you right now, I miss him. Just hearing his name again, I miss him a lot. One thing he taught me is be true. He was always himself. It was amazing.
One thing every young entrepreneur needs?
A mentor.
Okay. And finally, what is your personal definition of prosperity?
Being able to do what you want when you want to do it. I mean, it has nothing to do with money. It's simply a way, because you don't know, what I want to do may be differently than what you want to do, but just doing what I want to do, being able to wake up and say, yeah, I have this moment where I'm going to do this and be able to accomplish it. That's my prosperity.
That's awesome. What's next for you community-wise besides you got Farragut Chamber, you're now the incoming
Rotary. Yep.
Rotary Chamber. It's next for you probably.
No. I did that already. Yes. I was already CEO or the chairman of the board for chairman. Yeah, I did that.
I don't want to tell Julie that you're
no. Again, it's chapters. I was actually president of the Lions Club back in 2009 of our club. I'll do Rotary now. Again, somebody asked me real nice to do it. And I said, I can't say no. So I did it. And I'm good to focus on that. I really want to get back and just kind of community. It's a different world for me now because I'm not necessarily doing business where I live now, and I'm semi-retired. So it's like, I was floundering for a while. And I think a lot of it is just giving back in ways that I can. And if I can be a mentor to somebody, if someone asks, I'm there for you. Don't call it once, but there you go.
The Lions, now Rotary. Are you going for like the EGOT of service organizations?
Yeah, right. Kiwanis is next. Yeah.
Emmys, Grammys, Oscars, and Tonys. So
yeah, no.
Kiwanis and the Knights of Columbus are next.
It just fit. Just different areas I was at, different times in my life. That's what it was.
Love it. I love it. Well, where can people find you? We didn't talk about anything that you're doing online, but where can people find you if they want to learn more about Brian Walker or what you're doing and just kind of want to connect?
Yeah, a lot of it comes down to I'm still hiding in my hole, but no, but you'll see me out in the community. You'll see a bunch of stuff. I mean, I have some personal social media pages. I'm not hard to find. Let's just put it that way. I run a channel called Truth Between Lines on YouTube, on Rumble, a few other social media sites too. And I'm really just enjoying that moment and that chapter in my life where I can be myself completely and take all of the stuff that I've learned over all of the years and through all the mentors that I've had that told me stuff that I can say, hey, this is the way I'm giving back.
Awesome. Well, Brian, thank you so much for being here on the Prosperity Lounge. Leadership doesn't begin with a microphone. It begins with a mirror. It begins with proximity, with accountability, with service, and with example. Brian, again, thanks for pulling up a chair inside the Prosperity Lounge. And thank you to everyone listening. Check us out anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. There's the Prosperity Lounge. There's the Daily Dose of Prosperity, our 5-minute show where we give you a quick tip of the day, a quick walkthrough, a quick something you can do to improve your life. We have some brand new series on our YouTube channel. We have our weekly business brief where we break down some business stories that are happening here in East Tennessee and beyond. We have our youth series that we're starting where we're gearing content towards the 18 to 25-year-olds. So getting the next generation of leaders involved. We have our long form interviews. You can find content daily on our channel. So definitely check us out on YouTube. Definitely check us out on the podcast. Connect with me anywhere. You can find me on any of the podcast social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever, LinkedIn. Just connect with me. Tell me you heard it on the Prosperity Lounge. We'll have a good conversation. Until next time, everybody, stay faithful, stay fearless, and remember, freedom lives where faith and action meet. The lounge is always open, and so is your next breakthrough. This is the Prosperity Lounge. We are off the radio, but we are still online.
All right. Well, I hope I put in everything you wanted.
So much. Good episode. Learned a lot. Thank you, everybody in the chat. I'll get to your questions here. There was no questions for you, unfortunately. It was, where did the idea from the Prosperity Lounge come from, and how long you've been interviewing folks? I've never heard anyone do a better job. Thank you, Vance. I really appreciate the questions.
Hey, all right.
Thank you, buddy. Other than that, thank you guys so much for being here. Have a great weekend. We'll see you all Monday, if not sooner. God bless. Stay well, and take it easy.